Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
And thank you very much for this invitation. Is the sound level okay?
Yes, it's very good.
Okay, good. Well, I don't think I need to say much more about myself. That was quite adequate. I can share something after the Murli, so I thought I'll take up a few of the points. So I just start reading. Is that how you do?
Yes, yes. Whatever works for you. Perfect.
Okay, so we have today Sakamuli from the 18th of May 21. And the essence, sweet children, Baba, the death of all deaths, has come to enable you to conquer death. Only with the mantra of Man Manabhav will you be able to conquer death. Here is that if God was present, as they claim, omnipresent, then this would be a world of happiness, not a world of sorrow. But it is obviously a world of sorrow because people are crying out for him. So basically, he's not present, but we make him present. He comes, and then for those who listen to his knowledge and who receive salvation, for those he becomes present, and he becomes present when they remember him, and then they are liberated from sorrows. So it's a subtle form of presence there, and as long as they are making efforts, they have to keep away all the storms of Maya. And as Baba said in the Murli as well, if you are in hell, you cannot go to heaven. That was actually an interesting statement. If you are in hell, you will be reborn in hell. If you are in heaven, you will be reborn in heaven. If you are in hell, you can only go to heaven through the transition of the confluence age. You have to step into the confluence age first. And that's why it is confined to this small window now. And we have this opportunity. Now we make that leap from hell to heaven. But that is a very, very special opportunity. Other than that, we cannot go from hell to heaven ever. So it's not a world that is just beyond and we step into after death, but it's a world that is only accessible after the end. Right. Baba talked about this morning a lot about the cycle, about how we go through the cycle and become impure from pure. It takes a long time, and our stage gradually degrades from gold to iron. So Baba used this analogy of the alloy, that the alloy gets mixed into the soul, metal by metal, and then eventually we just almost rust away. And Baba said there is not even one single person left, or one single pure person left at this time. So everyone has become impure. We have become impure over a long stretch of time, and the others have become impure very recently and in a very short time. And Baba talked about the sannyasis, that they are also living a pure life. They also have purity to a certain extent, but it never becomes as profound as ours. Because we become pure and we become divine through the knowledge from Baba and knowledge of the cycle. These two things, the knowledge of God is absolutely necessary to have yoga, and the knowledge of the cycle is absolutely necessary for us to have an aim and objective. So, and basically, we become divine because we were divine once. So it's in our spiritual genes or DNA, so to speak. We are the ones who can even make any sense out of the concept of being divine. Only those who have had that divine experience can relate to the loss of divinity. So that's, I think, a very, very important factor in our effort making, that we have that vision of divinity. It's something we have to recognize how I used to be, and I think that picture probably is given to us very early when we come to Baba. We have some sort of maybe some have visions, but others just have some kind of sensation, recognition. But as time goes by and we progress on this path, that becomes more and more firm, and we become more and more aware of what it entails. What does this divinity actually mean? What are all the qualifications of being divine? And and I think the image that we have in our mind of our perfect stage becomes a very powerful. It can become a very powerful motivator in our efforts. And probably the closer we come to it, the more vivid it becomes. So, and then Baba said, he comes in Bharat, and Bharat is, I think we should understand Bharat not just as a land, as a country over there, but it's us. We are Bharat. We are the Bharatwasis, wherever we are. And that's really, I think, a reason for, or a cause for a lot of intoxication and pure pride, because Bharat's role in the drama is very unique, just as the Brahmin's role is very unique. We are very different from everyone else. And Baba also talked about today what it is that makes us different. It's the conquest of death, that we are the ones who really conquer death, because we become immortal, because we become soul conscious. And I often think that this is really the heart of divinity. It is this exactly this fearlessness and this sense of eternity that is so profound in us. So we are very different and very unique, but at the same time, we're not aloof, we're not strange. I mean, that is something I find very beautiful, very charming about Brahmins, that they are also able to blend with everyone, because we are all rounders. We have been through the whole cycle, so we can, in a way, blend with everyone. We can relate to everyone. Even though we may feel a bit alienated towards the end and a bit outside this world, I think we all have had that feeling, but still we are also in some strange way very approachable, very sort of we are not this kind of aloof sannyas types. We are very mundane and yet very ordinary and still very unique and different. So it's a very unique mixture of qualities, and that of course has to do with the fact that we are not sannyas type souls. We are not souls who are seeking liberation from life, but we are very much embracing life, and we have had so much life experience, and we have seen everything, we have tried everything, we can relate to everything. And yet we are the ones who are experts in stepping out when it's time to do that. And of course, that's the whole backdrop of this age and of our life now, Brahman life, that we have to return home. We have recognized not only Baba, but also the drama, and we have recognized that the time, that now it's time to go back. And I don't know about you, but I feel as the drama advances and our stage advances and everything, and the conditions of the world deteriorate, you just feel such a pull to not only go home but also return to the golden age. I mean, that is really a pull, and it will take us there eventually. So I think Baba said he comes every cycle and he grants us children's salvation. And I also often think that salvation is one of the most important concepts to understand. There are a few terms that we really need to churn deeply. What is salvation? Because this is what our whole life is about, all of our efforts. So we really need to deeply understand what is salvation, and then of course ask ourselves, to what extent have I become liberated in life? And just like soul consciousness, there are a handful of concepts that are very deep. Purity is another one, and they are so crucial. They are so central in our life, in our effort making. We don't have to expand a lot, but we really have to understand these concepts very deeply. And this thing about the end, or the death, as Baba called it, which is of course death on a large scale, the end of the drama, but also individually our own death, which we conquer in the sense that we lose all fear of death. We are not concerned about death, but we are very much concerned about how our last moments will be. And that is because our last moments will summarize all our effort making, everything that we have achieved, everything we will take or bring with us, and of course, conversely, everything we didn't achieve, everything we should have left and which we are still clinging to. So in both senses, we have to assess our stage and our achievements at every moment, because every moment can be the last one. So I think, speaking of liberation in life, salvation, that is something that should be in the back of our mind, or maybe in the front of our mind, always. What is it that I really, really want to be free from? What is personally, what does salvation mean to me? What is that? What is it that I really should make intense effort for? And it's a bit like having a chart. We don't need to write it down, but we just have to bring it forth every day and really ask ourselves, how close have I come to that stage? And if I left the body now, do I feel assured that my next birth will be a life in liberation, even though it would be a life in the confluence age? Would it still be a life of liberation? Because that is the aim. Yes. Okay, I think I will stop here and let someone else share. Only maybe that yes, we have been on a very long journey. Half of it, which has been a search, relentlessly, and I think one sanskara that is very, very prevalent in Brahmins is endurance, because we are so old and we have been through so many lives and so many hardships. Now, as we come to the end, we still have that sanskara of endurance. That we just keep on going, and we are very, very rugged as souls. I mean, of course, it can vary individually between us, but in in general, I think we are very endurant. We can take a lot, and we will go through a lot. We will go through hell, literally, to get back to heaven, and come what may. And the things that we are facing now as Brahmins, hardships, thunderstorms, whatever, it's nothing. I mean, we will take that as well, and even more that it has a lot of adventure and excitement and pleasure and intoxication within it as well. And yeah, I think just to complete this thing about the salvation, I think there's nothing more encouraging on this path than just recognizing, noticing how much you have progressed. I mean, I think we should really, really not forget to count our blessings and appreciate how much we have actually become liberated. So many things that we came to Baba with that we have actually become liberated from, and now it's maybe just the more subtle aspects that are left. And all, I mean, the question I was asking, which I often ask myself, if I left the body tomorrow, which sanskars would I bring with me? What kind of childhood would I get in my next life? How would I be as a child? I mean, right from birth, when I become a bit older, when I become adolescent, all of these sanskaras of purity and virtues and soul consciousness that I'm now developing, how will they affect my next life? Because and then of course reflecting back on your present life, how was your childhood affected in this life by your impure sanskaras that you have now got rid of, and how will that then completely change your future? And this is a very practical. You can just, it's a kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, extension. You sort of project or extend your mind into the future, and I just imagine playing with knowledge like that is very encouraging, and yeah. So nothing else. Only it was lovely to be with you and join your class. This is all Halifaxians, or this is a larger forum? Or? The experience of Baba's love, of godly love, has been quite seminal in my Brahmin life, in the sense that it has completely determined the rest of my life and my levels of effort. And I think actually, if I look back, it has also liberated me from a lot of struggles and a lot of hard effort making that I maybe otherwise would have been dealing with. And I think it has set a kind of reference point in my life, meaning that, whatever situation and people you are faced with, you always have this reference. You know exactly how sublime the experience of godly love is, and you know that there's always something higher. There's always a higher perspective, and I think I've seen in so many cases that this has always come back to me whenever I was in a situation, that it would always be there in the background as a kind of memory, and it would keep me from being dragged into situations or conflicts. And in that sense, I would say, if just a few experiences throughout my Brahmin life, maybe for seconds, minutes, hours, or even days. This could typically be an Amrit Vela. It could be connected with service. Often it has happened when I traveled. These very, very powerful and very deep experiences of Baba's love and other spiritual experiences have really served as a kind of long-term protection in my life, and has made my journey, I would say, by and large, quite easy in many aspects. Kept me away from competition, jealousy, lust for, position or role, and all of this. And but at the same time, I know that being in that state permanently is something very different, and it's really our, as you have said, all of you, it is our final state, no doubt about that. It's the Bapsaman state. And what I have noticed in recent years, though, maybe especially this year during the COVID-19 situation, and maybe starting a bit before, is that there's an increasing introversion and an increase in my reluctance to pursue my ideas or opinions and impose them on others. I'm more, I tend to sort of more soon back off or just withdraw and accept or accommodate the situation or other people, and in a more natural way than before, I would say. And I think that is maybe something that has more to do with peace and comfort or contentment than with love, really. But this is something I've noticed in my own life, and I feel it's a kind of wave that is sweeping through the Brahmin family. I have heard from others as well that there is the same observation, that we tend to be more what can be perceived as more soft, but it's really a kind of detachment and a kind of a conservation of our energy. And I think to some extent it is also simply an effect of aging. I mean, I'm now 56, and I mean, with age, you tend to slow down mentally, your responses, you become more introvert, you also become more mature in your responses. I think this applies to everyone, whether they're in Gyan or not, but of course, in our case, it is expedited by our spiritual efforts. I think this is all in all my experiences of godly love. I mean, the experiences I've had some of them have been very, very powerful, and I really treasure them and I really consider them to be foundational in my life, and I'm pretty sure that I have a very clear feeling of what we are aiming for, but I must say that keeping it as a permanent stage is really something very, very high, very advanced, because I think to be truly loving constantly in all your relationships, it requires you to be, first of all, uninfluenced, and that's why the detachment comes in that you mentioned. Even this morning, Baba mentioned as you noticed in the blessing, about being under the canopy of protection and then being in this detached and loving state. So there's no doubt that spiritual love is so deeply connected with detachment, as opposed to the worldly love, which is connected with attachment. So it's something very, very special and very different.
And before we can reach that stage, we have to at least reach the stage of being uninfluenced, being neutral. Because if we are still influenced by other people, then we are not detached in the true sense of the word, and we will definitely not be able to be loving and have good feelings for everyone. So I think that is maybe the first step to check, or the first checkpoint really. Have I become uninfluenced?